Yo guys, what is up? Max in our first Descendant video, and today we're talking about open world Colossuses, and some of the changes that happened to the first Descendant from beta to launch. It's been a bit of a hot topic on the first Descendant subreddit, with old footage showing the Descendants fighting against Colossuses in the open world, and lots of people kind of asking if that's something that's planned to be coming or if that's something that's been cut content, and so on. So I want to kind of break that down. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Let's get right into it. So this video was like an old kind of tech demo video of the first Descendant and the things that it was going to bring. And originally it looked like in the closed testing and alphas, there was planned to be full destruction. I actually remember playing the very first beta and things would crumble and break like this. Now they kind of just explode. We also have footage of fighting like a fully functioning what looks like a Gravewalker as Freyna, and you can see that when the Gravewalker touches that building on the left side, the building kind of fully collapses, and it looks pretty freaking insane. Now, I was under the impression that we are going to get open world Colossus fights. You can see it breaking apart the environment there. It looks really cool. But I was under the impression that we were going to get open world Colossus gameplay, but it wasn't coming until a later season because of it not making super sense lore-wise. So basically, when we're fighting the Void Intercept bosses, right? They are called Void Intercept bosses. We are intercepting these Colossuses in space to prevent them from breaking into Earth and causing mass destruction. Our whole goal is to stop them, and that's why we're intercepting them, and that's why we're fighting the bosses out in the void. Season 1 was called Invasion, and we've got forces kind of breaking into Earth and it kind of setting the stage for the Colossuses potentially also breaking through. And I was hoping that maybe we would see open world Colossus fights in season 2, or maybe even season 3, but that might not be the case. I'm curious to what y'all's opinions are on it. I kind of commented my theory that lore wise we are going to get open world Colossuses, just not on launch, because we're building up to the story for where they're actually going to break through and get onto Earth. And I kind of got crapped on, honestly, in the comments. People were making some really good reasoning. I'll link a thread down in the description if you want to read it. But, people were explaining to me that basically it's more likely that these were just cut entirely because of technical limitations. Obviously, we don't have open world destruction or destruction even close to the level of destruction that they were showcasing in some of these videos. And so it makes more sense that they couldn't fit the bosses into the open world, and they can't do it anymore because they weren't able to fit the destruction, probably due to the game being available on last-gen consoles. The first Descendant already, as is, struggles to run on a lot of platforms. It's got CPU issues, it's got frame rate issues, it's got stuttering issues. And so it seems more likely that they probably just weren't able to, fit this goal into the launch game with it being on last-gen consoles. And that's more so the reason why we're fighting them out. All of the fights in the Void, and there's none on Earth, basically because they couldn't get the bosses to fight on the Earth. But I really still think it would be cool if they could do it. Obviously, we've got the hard mode Colossuses now, but I'd love to see them add another mode of difficulty that's maybe having the different Colossuses in themed arenas that could be a little bit more interactive and add more to the boss fights, like fighting Pyromaniac in a volcano or Dead Bride on an icy cliff face or something like that. Could be really cool if they wanted to expand the boss fights, because I do think that the same void arena over and over again is going to get a little tiring if in 2 years all the boss fights are still in the kind of same void arenas. This is some footage of a Colossus fight back from the very first beta. It's honestly pretty interesting. I played 200 hours of the beta, and I remember the game looking like this, but it didn't really occur to me how much had changed from betas to full launch. Obviously, I noticed the UI, but one thing that you can notice in this gameplay is just how glossy and reflective everything looks, and kind of crisp. One of the big issues that I had with the first Descendant when you first started playing it is how much you had to turn up sharpness. If you haven't turned up sharpness, you're missing out, just to kind of make the game look a little bit more crispy. But I thought that was really interesting. But the even more interesting thing to me was how different Albion looks. I don't remember this at all. We've got some footage of Bunny going into Albion, and you can see that the almost atmosphere is very different. Obviously, like this room still looks the same, but for example, going up on the right here, there was these stairs that would lead to the other things rather than just them all being flat. The like middle platform was elevated. Everything was more sectioned off. We've got like shrubbery and greenery, and it just seems a little bit more atmospheric. I don't know, and kind of like old techy. It looks really, really cool. I'm curious to why this was changed because obviously, like performance and optimization is one thing, but this looks very different and a little bit more detailed in the old betas. This is what the map used to look like with the old like actual world. It was more kind of shaded to be more realistic looking. You've got like actual mountain textures and snow textures, and less so just like everything kind of being gray and white. Also looks pretty interesting. And yeah, guys, that is kind of the video. Just wanted to bring this up. I thought it was really interesting. A little bit of nostalgia if you played the old betas like 2 years ago. And also it's interesting to see how much the game has changed. I think like in terms of actual like gameplay stuff, the first Descendant is so much better than it was at launch. They've made so many quality of life improvements. It's kind of a very different game from when it first came out, but it also is interesting to look back and see just the how much has changed from the old betas. I'm curious to why so much of this like atmospheric changes happened to Albion, and also would love to know y'all's thoughts on the possibility of getting open world Colossus fights because I would freaking love that. I would really love if we could get more than 4 players in the open world and have them kind of be like world bosses or events where like, hey, like, you know, we've got Devourer popping up in Kingston, and you gotta go fight him as a big group, and maybe he's got more health in the open world than he does in a hard mode fight. I just think there could be so much more content added to make the open world interesting, because right now, really the only time you're ever doing anything in the open world is just to farm some materials, and even then the world still feels pretty dead. So yeah, guys, that is it for the video. I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys. Peace.